Welcome once again to the Grand Canyon. Now for lodging at the Grand Canyon, there's numerous options you can go with. You can do it roughing it in tent sites like I am here at the Mather Campground. And evidently, javelinas will just waltz through your campground here at the Grand Canyon. You can bring an RV and stay at the trailer village. They have numerous lodges that you can book reservations for. And they also have cabins that I've seen at the top of the south rim here. And I also saw some homes where if you're lucky enough to know someone that has a home, you can rent that from them. But the biggest thing is booking it well in advance. Now for the Mather Campground, I booked that 6 months in advance. Now, if you're gonna stay in the Mather Campground with the tent sites, and as I mentioned, trailers are welcome in here too, in certain spots. There is no electricity or water service. You do have a spigot you can go to, and you've also got a laundry service at the beginning of the Mather Campground, and as well as showers there. Hi. So this is the showers and the laundry facility for the Mather Campground. Working services here was a real nice kid. He was very knowledgeable about the park and provided a lot of good information. We had some great conversations. He went on to Phoenix, so I'm not sure if he's gonna come back, but really nice kid. So it was yesterday when I finished hiking up from the bottom of the Grand Canyon. I was sitting here getting some more electrolytes and eating an orange, getting as much vitamins as I could. Looked up here and saw this sign. Not sure how well that came in with the glass there. But it says do not wash dry backpacks, tents, hiking boots, dishes in or near this facility. Now, what they're referencing there, which I found pretty humorous, was do not wash dishes. So that young kid I met here, I had to come up with the stupidest question he ever heard. So I went in there to ask him the stupidest question ever, and I asked him if I could wash my dirty dishes in the clothes washing machine. He caught on to me right away. His immediate response was, "Now wouldn't that make quite the sound?" Really funny kid. So what they're referring to there, not washing your dishes, is not washing your dishes in the sink. but I had to say it. One other entertaining thing happened to me that day. I got back from hiking from the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and I went in there and showered. So it costs $2.50 in quarters for a 5-minute shower. And when you go in there, you want to be all ready to go to make the most out of that 5 minutes. I stripped down naked, had everything squared away, had my roll of quarters up on the deposit machine, and went to put my towel on that deposit machine too, and I hit my quarters. They fell, went rolling all over under the other stalls. So I was stark naked and very tired from this trip. I wasn't about to go out to my car and get more quarters. So, lucky thing is I didn't have to knock on the other stalls because no one was in there. But I had to go around collecting my coins. Pretty funny. Anyway, when you're using the showers, when you go in the shower itself, it's not much room in there, and there's no shower curtains. You have to be careful, keep your clothes up on the shelving, what little bench there is, because the person in the next shower, as well as your shower, is going to get your stuff all wet. So you need to keep it up. And one last thing is, recommendation to you, is bring your own quarters. One morning I came in here to take a shower. It was when they opened up at 7 a.m. and a couple people were disappointed that they couldn't get in to take a shower because the coin machine to exchange bills was empty. So they had to wait for attendance or go elsewhere to get quarters. So highly recommend bring your own quarters. And the one question that these attendants, I heard over and over again that they keep getting asked is, do you take credit card? They don't take credit card here. Their recommendation is go down to the marketplace. There's an ATM where you can get cash.
So that covers lodging in the Grand Canyon area, other than going down into the canyon itself. Now there's a couple options there too. One is you could go on down by mule, or you could hike it down. And at the time I booked this campground, I was also booking my backcountry permit, submitted it to camp down in the Grand Canyon itself. Now, what the backcountry permit is about is if you want to do any camping down in the Grand Canyon itself, you need a backcountry permit for that. But if you're hiking in, hiking out the same day, no permits are needed. Now, once down in the Grand Canyon and you've obtained your backcountry permit, you can go ahead and you can tent camp, or your other option is they also have
Phantom Ranch cabins,
where you can stay in cabins down there. Now, once again, if you're staying at the
Phantom Ranch cabins,
you need to book that well in advance, over a year. Now, your backcountry permit, they have open windows for when you want to go and stay down there. So you need to check their website to see when that open window is to apply for the backcountry permit. In May, when I'm staying here, I had to go ahead and submit that permit back in December, and it was probably mid-December. It is an archaic system that they have. I didn't actually get the permit. I submitted it like they said. Evidently the fax did not go through. Now, this being my first time submitting for a backcountry permit, there were some things I wasn't aware of. The biggest thing is, when you submit that backcountry permit, you'll want to fax it maybe 5 or 6 times. I myself submitted it once, and like I said, it didn't go through. from what I got afterwards is, in reading about it, people, guides that do this frequently will submit 5 or 6 faxes. And then they'll call to make sure it's gone through. And they'll continue to call and call and call to make sure it was received. So that's tip number 2, is just to keep calling them, bugging them. I know the website's gonna say they don't want to be bugged by people calling, but that's what people do. So once you've submitted your backcountry permit and they've received it, then you go into a lottery and they select the various options that you've put down on your request. Now the request itself, there's a couple things you can do there to make it more efficient also. Submitting your application permit, you can just Google search for a Grand Canyon backcountry permit. You'll get the PDF there. You'll fill it out with all your personal information and then the number of people in your group, what your entrance and exit location is going to be. They'll also want a name of the group, and you can have fun with that, just listing whatever you want. They'll want to know what your different options are for when you stay down there. Now there is a limit. You can stay down there, which is going to be 2 nights at each campground. So when I submitted my backcountry permit, I submitted it for 2 nights at the Bright Angel campground and then 1 night at the Indian Garden campground. Now those are the most popular. Now the Indian campground is up a little higher on the south rim of the Grand Canyon. The Bright Angel is further down, so that's kind of a preference to stay there at the Bright Angel, because then you have your options of taking trails elsewhere and coming back and spending the night, where you got to go a little bit further for the Indian Garden campground. So I reversed it, but kept pretty much the same days, because you have different options you can put down on your application.
Now, as mentioned, I didn't actually get my backcountry permit prior to getting to the Grand Canyon. If you're in the same situation, this is the process to take. So as soon as I arrived at the South Rim, approximately 1 p.m., I immediately went to the backcountry permit office to get on the waiting list. I was issued a number that was based on the number of people that was ahead of me at the time. The number I got was number 11. Then next I showed up at the backcountry permit office at 8 a.m. the next day and waited for my number to be called out. Of course, the last campsite to be issued was number 10. However, holding number 10 was a nice young gal and her father who were scheduled to leave in a couple days. So that was their only option, to hike down the next day. So I'm glad for them that they got it, which made waiting for another day not so bad. Now there were others with higher numbers behind myself. At the time, I wish I would have asked the ranger if they had any group sites open. If so, I would have organized with everyone else behind me a group site that we would all go in on. Anyway, I was issued a new ticket, this time number 1. So I showed up at the office again the next day at 8 a.m. and had the pick of whatever I wanted to hike down into the Grand Canyon the next day.
Now the Grand Canyon shuttle service provided by the National Park Service, they've also provided shuttle service to the city of Tusayan. And that shuttle service is not operating right now, so you may want to check it and make sure it's operating. But you could stay at a nice hotel in Tusayan and then just take the shuttle service to the Grand Canyon. So those are the tips and tricks of lodging in the Grand Canyon. Just remember, book well in advance. And if you're gonna book the mule rides, those need to be booked well in advance also. And then the other thing is, if you want a backcountry permit, make sure you're filling the form out legibly, and make sure the fax goes through. Send numerous fax, and just bug the heck out of them. And if you want more on my Mather campground, I did a bicycle ride around all the campground areas, so you can check that out. And at the same time, you can go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thanks. Have a good day.